Let's break the mold and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Stanley on 7. We're here until it's here.
All right, welcome back. This is Stanley on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, a Pull Tab Sports production. Kinger, we're facing, at least in terms of being a Wild fan, I feel like a little bit of adversity when it comes to the Wild. They've not been at their best for maybe a week or two now, and I just need to know, how you feeling? I mean, have you had to check in with Rat? Like, where are you at right now?
I did talk to Rat. I think they had won. This was, I guess, the two mishaps you're referring to are the Winnipeg game where Scheifele was wearing the cloak of invisibility. We couldn't see him in front of our own net all night. And then we lost to Ottawa. They're just supposed to be bad, and we lost to them last night. But we have had some track meets in there. We smoked Edmonton. So I guess a little inconsistent.
It's up and down.
Rat's like totally fine. I saw him last Tuesday a week ago. He said, hey, I knew when we got the new coach, he said, this coach, he doesn't take any bullshit. And he got rid of the old guys. And I knew that he would fix the room. And this is the way it's going to be. So he is like, we'll call him in a week or so here, but he is not blinking. He is not stuttering. He believes that we are on the train.
He's absolutely staying the course right now. Everything is good. Everything is well in the land of Rat. I will say that this is kind of not commonplace, but in terms of good hockey clubs and just hockey in general, like these are the dog days of the season. Games 40 to 60, where you kind of build up to the trade deadline and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Every game matters. The first 20 games you're learning yourself, and then all of a sudden the next 20 games you're kind of trying to like assert your dominance and get better, hone your skills a little bit as a club. But it's games 40 to 60 where you're kind of like, all right, here we go again. It's January, February. It's cold out, like you're fighting the elements, the battle, and it's easy for the game to slip a little bit. And I think that is happening with the Wild. The dog days, they're fighting it. But I'm with Rat right now. Like you look at it, the fundamentals of the club are still there. They're just lacking a little bit of execution, but no reason to panic whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, go back to you win your games at home best you can, and you split on the road. I mean, that used to be the recipe, right? We've got our brain into this kind of la-la land. And I think we just need to realize, like, we're not going to go undefeated the rest of the year.
Right. And at some point I made a joke too, because I think we lost the Winnipeg game out of the break and everybody's like, oh, they're finally facing some adversity. And it was kind of comical because losing one game is not adversity. Like, you're not going to win them all, especially on the road. But I will say too, though, that they're facing, and not to make an excuse, but the schedule actually is challenging right now. You think about it, they go up to Edmonton and they have a good game in Edmonton, fly all the way out east, and they've got to play Ottawa. Now, granted, they should beat Ottawa. They really should. But then on to Toronto, then back west to Calgary, then back home. Like, it's a tough travel situation for them. 4 games in like 7 nights, going all across Canada and back. So the schedule's tough. The travel's tough for them, changing time zones. I always think that the East has the advantage there because for the most part, they stay in the same time zone. West, you're traveling all of them. It's a little bit.
And they're not even getting miles. Right?
They don't get, can you believe that?
No miles. I mean, this is like charter flights.
You know what's amazing though is that the guy that books the hotels gets hotel miles, so that's kind of nice. Wouldn't that be a good job?
Yeah,
like a nice little perk. I get I don't know what the rooms are on the road, but let's say you're staying at a Ritz-Carlton and I don't know, a couple $100 a night times 50 rooms.
And that all goes to one guy at the Wild.
Yeah, and then he just goes on an unbelievable vacation at the end of every year.
That's cool. I did not know that. Can we talk about this? Yesterday was Tuesday, right?
TWO or T?
It was TWO. So 2/22/2022. Also Tuesday, day of the week. We can spell that TWO if we want to be clever. And then Fiala has 2 points, and he's number 22. I mean, can we talk about Kevin? Because I just called him Fiala. I apologize. He should only be referred to as Kevin on this podcast.
Is that because of like a Minions reference? Like you just think it should be like or is it like Home Alone, like Kevin?
It's because of so neither of those. I got Home Alone, but Minions, I'm too old. But it's more like Tiger Beat. You're too young for that. It's like Kevin's like a pinup star. He would be an NKOTB, New Kids on the Block, but in your locker, It wouldn't say Fiala if you had a headshot of him. It would say Kevin in a heart.
You just like Kevin.
Kevin, he is a Kevin. He looks like a Kevin. So
give me your vision of a Kevin.
Well, here's what I know. I know that apparently Kevin has a strict skin routine.
Yeah, he's a moisturizer.
But I don't know exactly what that means. If you can elaborate. And also, I'm told he puts baby powder on his stick, which is great, like on the handle, and maybe his girlfriend is TikTok famous, or he wants to be TikTok. Kevin seems like a guy in either an Austin Powers movie or a James Bond movie, somewhere in between. What do we know about? What can you tell me about Kevin?
I don't know. Whatever he's putting on his stick, though, he shouldn't stop, because it's been on fire right now. He's got maybe the best toe drag in the NHL at the moment. A couple of Edmonton and then Ottawa, a couple of sweet pulled toe drag goals. But I used to use the baby powder on the stick too.
Yep.
So they come tacky now.
Yep.
So they have the grip. You used to have to candy cane your stick a little bit with tape. So you'd have the grip, and then on your handle you'd use maybe regular like stick tape too. And as you used it, you'd get like little stick boogers on there, or tape boogers, and it'd get sticky. Then they'd bung up in your glove, and then you'd have like a sticky part in your glove. And I think guys I didn't like that, and then it wrecks your glove too. I didn't like that at all.
Kevin would nothing. He wouldn't like any of that.
No, so to combat that, you just put a little bit of baby powder on there, and then give it a nice little rub, and boom, it doesn't stick anymore.
So this is just all part of Kevin's hygiene plan.
Yeah, and
he doesn't have stick boogers.
No,
he's got unbelievable skin. He's probably hairless. He's a dolphin. This is just a clean human.
Yeah, mammal, a hairless mammal. Yeah,
I like it. I want to talk about confidence a little bit. So Kevin was on an island for a good 6 weeks, 2 months. It was almost like Dean was like, "We'll just stick him out on his own." His line was constantly changing. He didn't really have support. He gets the beautiful baby, and they're just like the hottest line on the team. And I can just tell that he's just feeling it.
Yeah.
So when you're confident, how much better are you in the league?
It's kind of crazy. You just feel free, and that's what I wonder sometimes. So I didn't have like a string of time where I scored, where I was like considered like a solid go-to guy for a while. But I just imagine, and I did have stretches where you feel good, and just when the puck comes to you, like you're not concerned if it's laying flat, you're not concerned what you're going to do with it next. You just kind of like everything's going to be okay.
Yep. This is what we do.
Yeah. And you just go out and play. The good players, what I'm curious about, and I'd love to get inside their melon, is do you always feel like that? How do you maintain that? Because that's where like consistency comes from. You look at it like the raw skill and talent. If you can pull it off once, you have it inside of you. So why can you not do it consistently? And I don't know the answer to that. A lot of it is confidence, and it's intangible. I'm not sure. But is it just the process of thinking it, of seeing it, of feeling it, believing it like Rat does? I'm not sure. But for sure, Kevin Fiala is feeling it right now. Now, the hard part too is, so I always picture that to be like a balloon. Confidence is like a balloon. And the more you play good, the bigger it gets. But eventually, like, it bursts and implodes. And then it's just like you have a terrible game, right? But the good players all of a sudden are able to get that balloon filled up and then just kind of keep it at a good PSI, where it's not too high, it's not too low, but it's still fuller than everybody else's, doesn't pop. How do you stay there? Now, Kevin Fiala's thing, in my opinion, has always been like...
You can just say Kevin.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Okay, so it's Kevin. About. So Kevin, and he's good, and he goes on these stretches where the balloon is great, and it's like as big as a hot air balloon, but then all of a sudden it implodes, and then it doesn't exist for a while. So how does he get to a spot? And now this year, I think he's taken another step. Like I truly believe that we've seen a maturation in him where there's a consistency that hasn't been there before. Now you can look at the beautiful baby and Boldy and say, he finally got what he's always needed. Somebody that thinks like him, that can play with him, that can draw attention so he can just be free. And you look at his last couple of goals, those toe drag ones, like he's just coming into the zone. The puck's hitting him on the tape and it's in the back of the net. Maybe he hasn't had those before. Usually it's him with the puck crossing the blue line first, trying to beat somebody one-on-one. So is he in like this zen space where no matter what he does, he can just be free and think the puck is coming and he's a better player for it? I'm not sure, but we haven't seen that balloon explode and him come back down to earth.
What does be free mean? That's a great phrase that you use, but as a player, what do you mean? I feel free.
So you're not concerned with the coach looking at you. Like you've seen in post-game pressers like Dean talk about Kevin or certain things manage the player. You see the player on the bench upset. Like you're just free where you're not concerned with any of the ancillary pressures that come with it. The contract year, the coach, the playing time, who you're with, what power play you're on. Kevin's on the second power play unit and he is playing his best hockey. That says something. And I think in his mind, he's free. And a lot of that comes from scoring 13 goals in the last 18 games. Like when you're getting a look every night and it's going in the back of the net, you don't care, right?
Okay. Can you, just to close the book on Kevin, do you know anything more about this guy? Where does he live? He for sure is in like an apartment, not a home. Like he doesn't have grass.
Yeah, no. I don't think he has grass, but he has like a little puppy. So
okay. Like a dog you would put in a purse?
Yes.
Okay, good. That makes sense. What does he drive?
He drives a European car. I think it's an Audi, like a small SUV.
And Kirill also drives an Audi.
I don't know what Kirill drives, yeah.
I heard that. I don't know if that's true. So, okay, so he's got an Audi SUV. He lives there's no grass. He's married or girlfriend?
I think he's engaged now.
Okay. And he likes the social media?
Yeah, I think so. I think he likes modeling. I think he likes the social media. Like he's not afraid of a sponsor deal. Like give us a post and we'll hook you up with a nice cool sweatshirt. And
he can speak more than one language?
Most Swiss people can. A lot of those Italian Europeans, they can, or like around that region. So I played with Jonas Hiller and he could speak like 5 languages. He could speak like Swiss German, German, Italian, maybe a little bit of Spanish and English, 5 languages.
Do you think he skis?
I think he skis. I think he indulges in chocolate.
God. I want to have some time.
Like a weekend with him.
Yes. Like where I think there would be parts of it that would be cheesy. Like he would be playing some music where I would be like, this isn't good. But then I would look around and be in the Swiss Alps and be like, this is good. I think I would make some fashion choices I was embarrassed about. But I just think I would have a wonderful time.
So I want to get to this because we're talking about this line, which has been unbelievable. Yep. And I've caught some heat for my comments.
The BFF? Or what are you getting?
Yeah, the BFF line.
Why are you getting heat about it?
I'm getting heat about the BFF line because people have said that the Wild need to go get a number 1 centerman, which we've talked about on the podcast
which
before.
You think is overrated.
I certainly do think it's overrated, but at the same time, like these players are good players. But what I said was that if they go out and get somebody like Claude Giroux, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, number 1. But number 2, if they go get him, I don't think that he should just be placed on a spot in the lineup where somebody else has had to earn it. So where Gaudreau had to earn it, where Hartman had to earn it, where these guys like worked at it, developed chemistry, and they're line mates, and it was all part of the process. Dean Evason is building this culture on, hey, it's not given, it's earned. Right. And that is actually a mantra that is above the door of the locker room. So if you go out and trade for somebody like Claude Giroux on his pedigree.
Does he start in Iowa?
Maybe. That's my point.
I think you're backed yourself into a corner on this one.
That's part of my point. Like I get it, but then I believe it's detrimental. So then it's not good. So then just don't do it. Like just don't trade for that player.
Okay. I know that you're getting made fun of on KFAN. I'm sorry about that. Okay. This is maybe karma for Chicklets saving that ambient story for their podcast, not ours. Maybe.
Whoa. You're still butthurt about that?
That was such a good story. I wish it was on our podcast. That's all. So, so here's a counter to that. I was watching the game last night and, man, Dean is like a Coke freestyle machine. He loves mixing things together. And I wanted your take on this. So Kirill looked really alone last night. Mm-hmm. He was visible, but he was working. All you saw was him working.
One-on-one.
He was retrieving pucks. He looked like a center. He was just, and it didn't seem like he was having any fun. He's looking for his boy Zuki. He's not there. And all I could think of is give this guy Boldy for the night. I know that Kevin and Boldy are this thing right now, but like that's your top line. They put Foligno up there, which seems super weird. It just didn't even look like the eye test on the ice. It was like, and I think he's trying to get Marcus going a little bit, so he puts him up there. But I think when Dean says teammates, I think it's like a little bit like Avi Lee from Dance Moms. Everyone's replaceable. It's all interchangeable. So if Giroux comes into the lineup, I think Dean would be like, hey, this is a new guy, but he's a wild guy now. He's one of our guys. And we're gonna put him in here. And because he's here, we're gonna put I don't even think they would have any issue with it. I think this is a culture in the room that can take on a new ingredient and it won't screw them up.
And I don't disagree with that. And I think that's not necessarily a bad play or a bad take. I think it's probably right. I think you're absolutely 100% on where they would accept that person, that player, whomever it is. Let's just call it Claude Giroux. But where I think it becomes an issue is if the day after the trade, he gets this spot on that line between those guys just because of his pedigree. He's maybe earned it in the past, but
so Hartman, perfect example. We trade for a center. Hartman's off the top line and he's with Zuki and Kaprizov.
Right.
And you think that flies in the face of what he's been building the entire time.
Yes. It discredits all of what they've been building in terms of culture. It's okay. So it's not about this group I'm talking about. It's about these players that I get, and we're gonna put them in here. And I'm
really excited because I'm gonna win an argument against Ryan Carter. Anyone listening, I want you to just sit back because I'm about to take down Carter on the podcast. It may never happen again. Keep going with your side of it.
I really don't think that they should just give him the spot. Now, I think that you can go play. And again, when it comes to playoff hockey, which is why you're getting a rental to win playoff games, you have 20 games to get there. Playoff deadline is usually about games 60, 62.
Yep.
So you have 20 games. So over the course of 20 games, you have Claude Giroux be like your fourth line guy, right? Which he's not going to be that productive on the fourth line. So then that also doesn't validate what you likely had to give up for him, which is a lot of the pressure that I think coaches and management have to give, or they feel when they pick these players up, right? But over that time, if somebody proves that their game has slipped or that there's an opportunity for somebody else to jump in, then fine, let them play there. But on the day that the trade is executed, no, I do not believe that he should just jump in and be there based on his pedigree, 1,000 games. Like, he's good, he's great, that's fine. Let's look at the fourth line for an example.
Well, let me respond. I think it's hard to make a senior rush the fraternity.
Then he's not the right guy. That's what I said.
But hold on. There's only one culture on the Minnesota Wild, and it's the first sentence that Guerin said. We're here to fucking win. So what's on Dean if they do make a trade? And I'm not saying they should make a trade, and I don't know about centers, and I don't care about Claude Giroux. We might have a team that could do some damage in the playoffs, as it is. But if you trade for someone, if that decision is made, all that matters is if it helps us win. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if somebody's feelings are hurt. It doesn't matter that, Hartman, Zuki, and Kirill were watching The Bachelor every Monday night for 2 months. None of that matters. As long as we win, that is all that matters, and the Stanley Cup is all that matters.
So what came first? Somebody saying all that matters is because we win, or because they did other things that facilitated winning? That's a question I have for you right now. Like, because
now you're going to somehow win.
Because Bruce Boudreau said it's about winning, but it wasn't. And there were things in place that led to them not winning that have been changed that have led to them winning.
God dang it. I didn't see this coming. So you're saying the reason it's working is we got rid of the hierarchy. We got rid of the bad room. We are an organization that's about teammates. But if that group can't bring in something new, so isn't it just lip service if I put Claude Giroux on the fourth line for one night to kind of prove a point? Are you saying that's worth it? Put him there for one night. He's going to play great, maybe a couple games. Let the fan base, rumble. Let the players say, hey, Jesus, why is Claude Giroux? Even let Ryan Hartman say, Dean, I've loved playing with these guys, but let's try G up here and I'll go somewhere else. I'm a piece for you. Kind of like Jamie Benn said. You're saying you got to be consistent with that, or it all seems like it was a fraud.
Let's flip this. the coin over on the other side and say, all right, so if you trade for a guy and he comes in and he gripes because he's on the fourth line, is he the right guy?
No.
That's the best chance. That's your best chance to test him. You come into a new room, and what are you going to do? You're going to say, I deserve everything. Give it to me.
But you've already traded for him at that point. That's not the right.
That's right. That's why.
So you tell him when you're trading for him, hey, just so you know, we do it a little different
if he signs
here.
It.
We do a little different here.
Yeah. But it's also a test.
You got to find out before you trade.
I find it's important for the coaches and management, everybody to know, like, and this isn't, Claude Giroux's name is tied to this, but it's not about Claude Giroux. I mean, he'd come in and fit in with like perfectly, right? Just in general, if a guy isn't willing to accept that role on a club to win games, he's not the guy. I
hate to say it. I think you're right. I think that you shouldn't be getting heat. Your point, whoever's making fun of you because whatever you said on KFAN, you're saying chicken before the egg. You're saying if everybody said winning, every single person that's come in and out of the Wild.
Every coach ever. Stanley Cup is their goal.
And the difference is kind of like what Rat said. The difference is Dean came in, he made it a flat structure. He made it about, we're interchangeable, we're teammates, we're Wild, you earn it. And if you suddenly, when the chips are really on the table, if you're not taking your own medicine, you're a fraud, and people will smell it.
If you trim the fat and then put your own there, then it does no good.
Okay, you win.
That's my stance. I'm not trying to win this one.
I think you're right, though.
That's my take on it. I'm not saying that center's a bad player or that it doesn't work or that it won't work.
We just got to keep.
There's a way to do it, and I believe that is the appropriate way.
I hear you. I hear you. That was some real discourse between the two of us.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. That was intense.
That's good.
So I have another question for you in terms of the Wild lineup. Okay. You predicted at the beginning of the year, the Wild's MVP would be?
Well, I think we did this more recently, but I think Mats Zuccarello is the MVP of the team. And seeing the team without him last night only made me think that I'm 1,000% right.
I don't disagree. So what did you see last night? You started to talk about Kirill feeling or looking alone out there. What else did you see?
I never had the team seemed to lack identity. It felt like every time I was looking at the ice that half of the forwards were from the previous line and the other half were from the other line. And it was just this hodgepodge of players that were never, even if you look at the score sheet, the guys getting assists on each other's goals are never on the same line. We looked out of sorts. And I think the number one thing is specifically last night to put Foligno on that top line, that wood chipper line loses its identity. Kirill just looks just not happy. He was working hard, but I don't want to see Kirill working.
Right.
I want to see Kirill smiling because then I know we're in a good place. And then, the one line's still firing, the Kevin line, the bold and the beautiful, the BFF. But it looked out of sorts. I think Mats just calms everybody down. He's a veteran. He's just a cool guy. He's had success in New York. I think there's always somebody told me that there's always a guy on every hockey team that's basically like the Tony Soprano of the team. They're not the official leader, but if this was a gang, they're the gang leader. And I think Zook is that for this team. And every interaction I've had with him makes me think like this guy, he's real damn important, but he's not always in the perfect mood. He's not always going to say the right thing for the camera and drink the 2% milk, but he's definitely a leader.
So we don't know what happened to Zuccarello and why he didn't play last night, but if he got hurt, arrested, or something else, what should he probably do?
Wow, you are on fire. I think if I were doing, is it Mats Zuccarello or Mats Zuccarello?
I think it's Mats.
Mats.
Return of the Mats.
What I would say to Mats is I would reach out to Wachtler Law. Do you know how to spell that?
No.
WACHTLER law.com. And I would say, Mats, I don't know what happened to you, how you got injured, arrested, or he didn't get fired, I don't think. I sure hope not. But this guy's got 25 years experience, fiercely independent, afraid of no one. And let's get Mats back into the lineup, our MVP.
So I do want to say,
you're just snapping it around today.
So I do want to say, have the Wild, have they shown their hand a little bit? So playoff hockey, things change a little bit, and there's been this narrative, and there was a hit in the Ottawa game too, where are people targeting Kirill, and Kirill got hit in the Carolina game by Niederreiter, and is that special attention, and how's he handle it, and should Moose beat everybody up? Is the play maybe to put special attention on Zuccarello?
Protect Zook. I do think Kirill can handle himself. He's pretty tough. We had the one kind of weird thing, but I think if you even look back at that injury, he wasn't really hurt as bad as he thought. And they almost think they sat him against Ovi to basically be like, hey, if you're hurt, you have to really be hurt. So now you don't get to play against Ovi. So, I mean, that's pretty dark. I don't know.
That was pretty cool.
But I think they were kind of like, hey, you're either, we thought you were out for 2 months and you're not even injured. So I guess you're going to miss the Ovechkin game.
Yeah, I just think that we've seen people kind of shadow a little bit Kirill, and he can battle through it, and he can still find ice, and he's good and strong. Well, I mean, we haven't, and I never see Zuccarello get hit. You know, he's not on the forecheck, but he wins wall battles, and he backchecks hard, and he does these things, right? But you don't see him get hit, and you don't see him get extra attention or people really around him that often. But
no.
Is he the kryptonite to that line, where if you shadow that guy, does it shut everything down? The answer is I'm not sure. But after last night in Ottawa, maybe he is the straw that stirs the drink there.
I do think if you threw Boldy up there, that it changes the line. I think we get into a Backstrom Ovechkin scenario. I think Kirill really starts firing the puck, and Boldy just tees it up for him on a toothbrush tee. But yeah, I think Zook is the MVP of the team. I think if he was injured for any length of time, the problem with Zook being gone is a 3-line hockey team, a 4-line hockey team quickly becomes a 1.5-line hockey team, right? Because it just multiplies everywhere. Can we hit this? You're saying that people are saying that Kirill looks like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah,
that's not true.
I actually kind of think it is true.
Well, so Kirill has like he looks like a baby.
He's got baby. Are you saying he's got baby fat? Like,
I don't want to say that because I don't want to. I think people would think that that's a negative. Put it this way: my wife was watching a game and she said he looks like a baby. Like if I slept with Kirill, it would be like
swaddle.
It would be super creepy.
Oh.
Like it's like a.
So you actually mean sleep with?
Yeah, like if she
meant like alongside.
If she had a night with Kirill, like I bought that in a silent auction where my wife could spend time with Kirill, like she would think that it would be like you were with a child because of how he looks. I think that's true. So I think Kirill looks like the foosball guys. Yeah, remember the faces on foosball players where they have the big cheeks and they're sometimes rosy, and then they have the blonde hair that's just kind of like a Lego guy stuck on there. I really think he looks like a foosball man.
There's a couple funny ones on here with a picture of him side by side with somebody else, Heath Ledger, rest in peace. But there's one that says Heath Ledger holding a fart, which alludes a little bit to the puffed out cheeks.
He's got the cheeks. He could be Gordon Ramsay's kid. I could see that yeah. He's the little, like the Tommy boy to Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. Do you watch Letterkenny at all?
I know it, yeah.
So one of the hockey players from Letterkenny, Riley, he kind of looks like Riley a little bit from Letterkenny, but that one's funny as well. But no, I think a Heath Ledger, a Russian Heath Ledger, or Heath Ledger holding a fart is a good second place. But Gordon Ramsay's my vote for sure.
I go foosball, man. I'll get a picture of that so you understand it. Just staying on Kirill Island for a minute. One of the things that I think is a reason we need to break the mold as Minnesota sports fans is a lot of us have this North Star baggage. You might not. I'm a little older than you, but like there's this emotional hole inside of us that's North Star sized, and the Wild have had trouble filling that. So I have a new number for you. 114 is the most points a North Star ever scored, a man by the name of Bobby Smith. I think to fully
heal the wounds?
Yeah, to fully put the stake in the heart of the vampire, we need Kirill to get up over 114 at some point. I want to, because even though that franchise is not a part of our franchise, we need to cleanse all of it. We need to get all of it clean. All of the North Star stuff in the corner of our closets, it all has to come home to roost. And so it's not about 84 points, Marian Gaborik. It's about 114 points for Kirill.
And are you going to hit me with the pace that he's on right now?
I think he's a little short of 114, but now this guy, he could go have 3 against Toronto, 4 in a game, 5 in a game. He's going to need some of those. We're going to need Zuccarello back for starters. But I'm not saying it's this year necessarily, but I want to link this franchise all the way back to the North Stars, and I want the child of hope to take us into the pass it.
I think that would be advantageous.
It's a big number.
Yeah, but I'm wondering where the gap is, where the hurt, where like the age at which the Wild fan base or Minnesota hockey fan base opened up with the North Stars. I'm an 83 birth year, and it didn't affect me.
74.
I was hurt 91, 92. They left, but I was like 8 years old, and I didn't fully understand. Like, I don't think I was fully invested before that, but I think I'm close to that number. Is it 1980, 1985, right in that range? But I think for you to heal these wounds, that's for everybody that's 1980 and older.
Yeah, like Dino Ciccarelli, Stuffed Animal Dinosaurs, Goal Magazine, Met Center, The Colored Seats, Craig Hartsburg, Willie Plett, Basil McRae, Shane Churla. I think it's all what you grew up with, right? Like if that dog was a puppy when you were a puppy, you love that dog more than when you get a dog when you're 25 and you're like, that's a nice dog. He's a good hunting dog. That's kind of what the Wild were like for us. So, and it all comes down to playoffs. I mean, that's why we're here. I still remember Willie Mitchell wearing the full cage in Vancouver and just being so irritated that he wanted to scrap, but he had the cage, and Brunette and some of those playoff moments, Granlund diving on the ground. It's like they're worth like 10 times regular season.
Oh, for sure.
Like nothing matters.
In terms of your attachment as a fan to the organization.
Oh, my God. I mean, now if we would have won the Winter Classic and we were that cold and we were that drunk, and you can maybe singe some things during the regular season here and there, but man, playoffs is like, it's permanent marker.
That's a really good point, because I played in the Stadium Series game, and that meant a lot to me, being from Minnesota, playing at home, outdoors versus Chicago, big setting.
Yep.
Wild haven't won a cup. So for me, in my estimation, it was like the Wild's like one of their biggest games ever.
Stat line?
And we won it. I don't know my stat line, but it was good.
Do.
I don't know it.
Goal to assist, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's not a big deal.
Who's counting?
Yeah. Eye black. But that game is not discussed anywhere near as often as some of these playoff games.
Oh man,
and
playoffs.
Even
Richard Park.
Even like a random playoff game. Not like an elimination game. A random game. So it is like 10x or more that a playoff game matters.
Heroes, villains. Patrick Sharp killing us.
Yeah.
I still remember
Kim Janssen.
Kim Janssen getting knocked out. I still remember Zucker, for whatever reason, would score like one goal every time we played Chicago, but no one else seemed to show up. So I was always like, okay, Zucker actually, he's okay, but all the rest of you, it's Richard Park with my father-in-law standing, where they have the rail seats, and you had to stand up on the seat because everyone else was standing when he scored that goal. Man, I cannot wait. I hope we go deep.
Well, so that's where it's going to be challenging for me, is because those moments will matter to me, but then I think you lose, it's easier to lose sight of the big picture there, which is when, like, I would be happy with like an intense playoff series, 7 games first round, win that one, and then have a good second round exit. Like, in terms of being a fan, like, that would be meaningful, right? But it's like, okay, that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for.
It is very Minnesotan, but that's my over under for the year too, is you have to win one round. But that's horrible to say. That's so bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, is this a Minnesota thing? These guys not touching the other guy's puck so they get hat tricks and stuff, like don't want to touch it.
You mean, like, is that the last chicken wing on the plate, and like nobody's going to eat it, Minnesotan? Like, it's not mine. No, I think it's a sign of a good team. You're talking Ecker not touching Boldy's hat trick.
Yeah.
Like, you think that's Minnesotan. That's the same thing as like not touching the last piece on the appetizer
If that's
platter.
Tuesday night at the hip, man, I'm banging that home.
Yeah, like you're working extra hard to get a stick on it.
I'm like, and I'm going to the ref. No, here.
You see that? No, that.
It was very Minnesota. I think it happened twice. It happened another time. Somebody scored their first goal, like Duhaime, and the other guy was in front.
Was
and
it
then,
the
and then
goofy
right away, he pointed at him. Like, it's not me, it's him.
But that'd be great if it was worth the story, because Duhaime scoring that goal, if you recall, was just an awful goal. Like, he was facing the wrong direction. Like, it
just happened. So 2 nights after the Eck thing, somebody scored, and I believe it was their first goal. And there was a guy right in front, and they didn't. Went out of their way to tell the ref it wasn't them. Right away, not me, him. So it's a thing. Isn't that so you're saying that's true to our culture, but it seems like so soft.
I think it is soft, but at the end of the day, the puck went in the back of the net. You know, I don't think you want the selfish guy that's like, you know, he's going for a change, but he hears the goal horn, so he turns back to get the plus, celebrates. There's 6 guys in the pile, and he's like, hey, you know, goes to the PR guy after, hey, just so you know, I was on the ice for that goal. That used to happen.
Yeah. Okay. I got you on that. That makes sense. So how about this travel schedule? We're in Canada, but like you said, it turns out on a map that Edmonton's right next to Calgary.
Yeah, I know.
But we're going to go just Edmonton, Ottawa, Toronto, Calgary. I mean, this is just because they rescheduled all these games and there was only so many slots, or couldn't somebody have been like, hey guys, the Battle of Alberta is these 2 teams, so why don't you play them in a row?
Well, I think that's part of the gripe too, is that you have a team that came in that was fresh as a daisy, Florida, against the Minnesota Wild.
Yep.
And they had 2 weeks off, game February 14th, and then February 1st, their next one was February 16th.
Yep.
2 weeks off, right? And then all of a sudden the Wild can't get 3 days for their all-star break, and then they're going back and forth crisscrossing Canada. Like, the schedule's terrible. It's not laid out right, and it's kind of not fair. Now, I get it. Like, what else are we going to do? Like, there's building availability in each spot. There's the team's regular schedule that we have to combat. There's a lot of things that we have to dial in, not to mention the 3rd and 4th party that we have to fit into this trip too, which would be the other clubs, Ottawa and Toronto and Edmonton, right? But it's an issue. It certainly is, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But no, I think that they should have thrown the Wild a bone and just said, hey, throw one more game in there, play Montreal since you're already out here. Get this one in, cross the border, you're here, mix this game in, and wherever they play that one, give them an off or something. I'm not sure, but I think they could have done some stuff to the schedule to make it a little easier for them. But again, that's not my lane.
And now we'll have Toronto, and then the back-to-back Calgary, which should be tasty. They've got a rat that I'm fond of, Mr. Tkachuk. So I think the 2 games in a row against Calgary, I think that should create some friction.
Did you see the stuff out of Calgary? So they're on a heater. They've won like 10 in a row.
They're good.
And they had an empty net situation, and Blake Coleman was screening the empty net. Did you see that? Like that's Daryl Sutter to a T, just like structure. Like
he was net front presence.
Yes, net front screening, like getting ready for a tip on an empty net. Like the other team is sliding around blocking shots, and he's just posted up in front of the net, ready to tip it in. It's just
I guess you don't have to be free to have success.
He's working on fundamentals.
He's just locked in the structure. Kirill's hair is getting longer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah. It's starting to.
I think you need a little bit coming out of the helmet.
There's a little bit coming out of the helmet. Not very much, but there is a little bit. Bukestad's playing well.
Yeah. I've really liked and the energy he brought, and it's illustrated a couple of things to me. So when Boldy came in, we talked about how he's been great in terms of giving Fiala something to play with or somebody to play with, and they have a second scoring line that they can really rely on now. But there was this like untalked about spot where he has like this youthful energy that he's bringing to the club in the middle of the season when you can lack just straight up energy. And Bill Guerin has said this before, like you need character and you need characters, because the characters can help you provide energy in these doldrums. Well, Boldy did that for a while. And I'm not saying Boldy's running out of gas right now, but at least like that shiny new toy isn't as shiny anymore, right? Like the energy's not there, and he's slowly becoming a pro, which is what happens.
The new person candy jar is no longer at his desk.
Right. So all of a sudden, Bukestad, who's been out of the lineup, he's hungry. The guy's hungry, and you can see it in this game.
We got some red crackles.
Yes.
Got some yellow Mr. Goodbars. Hershey Dark.
I'm going to get one of those.
No, you can have more than one.
Give me 2.
Go ahead. You have more than one. This is Nick. Nick's from Blaine, and he's going to be with us. He had an upper body injury, but he's back.
He's back. So no, he's been fantastic, and he's been very noticeable, like winning battles, bringing pucks to the net. He's played with poise. And again, like he seems to be playing slightly free too, like he doesn't care. And sometimes that can happen. You watch your club while you're hurt just be good. It like puts a little bit of motivation, like panic into you. Like, hey, when I come back, I got to open this up because writing's on the wall. I might not have a job. These guys are playing good. So you go out and just play. And then all of a sudden that energy takes over. It's noticeable. And again, give Dean Evison a ton of credit because the guy he just doesn't go by the status quo. Like Nico Sturm, I'm going to help you because Nick Bukestad, who's playing with 9 fingers, has been unbelievable. And he's playing over you right now. I don't care if you're on the kill or what you do. Just that's what's happening. And good for Bukestad. I think we got him going on this podcast here for sure.
I do. How's Moose? Okay. Because so I've always thought Moose is like Superman. He's honorable. He's kind. He's a leader. And he had this incident where he was filled with rage. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he was Ralphie on the playground. He beat up someone, broke his glasses. I think it's shook him a little bit. You know, he's been in and out of the lineup because of it. I think like because that was so out of character for him, even him apologizing for it and talking about like, I want to getting him feeling comfortable again.
So you kind of want him to be a bad axe. Did I say bad axe?
Are you trying to transition to another?
Let's get this going. Bad axe.
Wow. See, now you just dig the puck out of the corner and pass it to me, and I have to do everything else. So there's a place called Bigwood. It's in White Bear Lake. They do have a beer called Bad Axe.
Bad Axe.
But Foligno isn't a bad axe. He's a hero.
Yeah.
He's a good, honorable. He's a good guy. He's the guy you would tell your kid it's okay for you to put his poster on the wall because I don't expect anything bad to happen. I got to finish this ad read. Hold on. So if you ever do want to drink some delicious beer and go into a tap room that looks like a cabin, but you don't have to drive 2 hours and 15 minutes and fill your tank, head over to downtown White Bear Lake, charming, quaint little city, home of Ryan Carter. He won the Stanley Cup, and try some Bigwood beer. They'll be there. We'll do some giveaways and some other shenanigans with Bigwood, but check them out. The Bigwood Tap Room, downtown White Bear.
But you can't have Superman without having him win everything and being tougher and badder than everybody else. Like what comes first?
No. Superman,
you don't look up to him.
Superman just stops the bad guys. And once he doesn't kill them, if he knows he's already got him, he has the ref come over and clean it up.
But my point is, it's the authority. Like, you know, when it comes to it, that Superman is going to win, and that's what Marcus has to get back to. Like,
so you're giving me the speech you would give Marcus now.
Yeah, like.
So let's
go ahead, assert your dominance again, because that's going to give you confidence.
I'm going to be Marcus. Okay,
do what you do well first.
Let's role play. Okay,
do what you do well first.
Do I
be
look
physical?
Like him
win those battles.
So, but
no,
I just don't feel right. I did this thing. I need a guy in the head. I'm worried that there's some youth players in my province in Canada that saw that, and they don't know if I'm a good guy or a bad guy anymore. Ryan, what would you tell me? I just don't feel. I'm having trouble getting past it. It surprised me that I would behave that way in that moment. Do you have any wisdom? You played 500 games.
Yeah, quite simply, I would say, Marcus, what do you do with a bad shift? You flush it. You can't let one bad shift lead to another and to another. That's what pros do. Maybe you made a mistake. Flush it. You got to get it out of your mind. You can't let it affect you. And if you're letting it affect you, you've got to find a way to get over it. And how are you going to get over it? And then that's where the sports psychology comes in. You get back to what you're good at, quite simply. You go out one shift or one game and you get on the forecheck, you hit a couple of bodies, you win some battles, you see the success you have, and then you roll with it. Then you grow from there. But eventually, I think that happens to everybody. But that's always the answer, is get back to what you're good at and build confidence.
But I'm worried there's something rotten inside with me. Why would I do that? It's so out of character.
Marcus, there's nothing rotten inside of you. What's inside of you is a fruit, and a fruit tree that keeps on giving. Every once in a while, that fruit falls and it spoils on the ground, but that's not what you focus on. Every year, new fruit comes, right? And it's about harvesting the fruit and making sure you enjoy it. Be good with it. Don't focus on that one bad apple. Focus on all the good ones.
Man, you're doing great today. Okay, I'm back. I feel good. So I don't know what's gonna happen with this team because we're a little bit out of sorts. I don't think it's alarming. Like we might beat Toronto 7-0 and then get shut out by Calgary 2-0, and then like I'm kind of we're in that, like you said, the dog days of the season. It's not alarming. It's unpredictable. What do you think is going to happen? Is Zuki okay? I mean, that's the start there. If he's in the lineup, I'm betting on him on my app.
I saw that they expect him to play
against Toronto.
Yes. So it's short term, whatever it is. Not sure. A little bump, little bruise, but he should be okay to play, which is a good thing. What I think we're seeing is that the Wild are very good at full strength and with the balance that they have. You took Matt Dumba out of the back end, and all of a sudden it was, man, we need a big rugged D-man. Man, we're missing these pieces. Is the decor something to be concerned about? And I think this always happens as you approach the deadline. Like everything goes under the microscope because there's fear that you can't improve your team after. So people make rash decisions, or management will.
When is the deadline?
I don't know the exact date this year, but it's around 20 games left. It'll be middle of March, end of March, maybe this year. But so that's what happens. And I think now it's moved to the forward lines. Like Zuki out, it's shifted absolutely everything. You don't have your identity line in Marcus, Foligno, Eriksson, Ek, and Greenway. Because of that, Greenway and Eriksson, Ek are no longer as good because they need Foligno.
Yep.
And then up top, all of a sudden, Kirill isn't as good without Zuki. And then Hartman isn't as good with Kirill as he was with Zuki as well. So now the chemistry is all entirely thrown off, and you're missing not only chemistry, but your identity, right? And where you want to be a 4-line club, you mentioned it earlier, you're a 1.5-line club, and you miss your 4th line. Then you get out of this rhythm where you're rolling 4, where it's not happening. Then you forget your 4th line, then you shoehorn your 4th line, and you're just kind of out of whack, which is what the Wild are exactly right now. But at full strength with everybody, they're pretty solid. Now, back to the center thing, I think they need to get support pieces or utility knives, Nick Puntos of the world, where they can just kind of fit anywhere so that when they have an injury or something, they don't have to shuffle everything and throw everything out of whack.
Awesome Nick Punto reference. I used to love it when they would throw the ball down to second and he would pretend that it went into the outfield to try to get the runner, the piranhas. Hey, I want to finish with you made a statement a couple times that you said Ryan Hartman could be my rat, okay? And I've been observing his behavior recently. So I think you might be right. This is a common theme. So I think Hartman got mistaken as a Soch, but he's really a greaser.
Oh, sure. He's on that.
Like, he's like with Zuki and Kirill at the country club and stuff, but like he still has his half-face blade in his truck, and which is probably a Ram truck, I think. Maybe he has a pistol. I don't know if Hartman has a pistol, but I think he might. But I've seen him, like, he's got like a little rage. That's nice. What is that?
38 special.
Oh, that's
T-shirt.
Cool. What is that?
It's 38, red in a bowl.
That's not Hartman, though.
It could be.
That's great. Get a picture of that too. So he seems to be like frustrated, and I think he like destroyed a stick on the bench the other day. I think him and Mr. Kachuk or somebody on Calgary, I think you're going to really see we're going to see some stuff from Ryan.
With Hartman, and now the thing with Hartman is let's not forget he's an insider now. He's not an outsider, so he might be a greaser, but he's not one of those guys, right? And
hey, that was not critical of Hartman,
which I think would be okay. I'm just saying, like, he's not an outsider. He might be a greaser because that's the name of the movie, right?
Okay, The Outsiders. Okay, yeah. I was just saying you're saying he's in the room.
Yeah, he's one of them, and that's cool. Like, even if he is a greaser, which it's a good thing. But to answer your question on will they go at it and what do I think and how does that play out, I think the coaching staff or people inside the Wild room try to rein in Hartman a little bit. Like they want that rat element, but it can't be costly. And that is a very fine line. So I think you have to encourage the ratness a little bit, but at the same time be like, hey, you need to be smart about it. Like you can't do it in front of everybody. You got to wait till you know there's no camera on you or till nobody's looking. You'll get them. You just have to be patient. Like you can't act on emotion, be smart with it. And I think there's a chance that stuff plays out in Calgary or with any of these clubs that the Wild are chasing down the stretch. I seem to think that Hartman gets more emotionally invested in the clubs that the Wild are chasing. So it's going to be the better clubs.
So Matthew Tkachuk is on my fantasy hockey team, which is in last place because I only have Americans on my fantasy hockey team. And part of the reason he's on my team is we get points for penalty minutes. So if this guy can snap off for 17 PIMs and 2 points, he's gold, right? He's been so well behaved this year. I think it's a contract year for him and Gaudreau, maybe both. Or no, maybe he already got a ticket. But he's ready to blow. Tkachuk's going to blow.
Do you think he's just like the teapot's starting to whistle?
He has been so well behaved for so long. It's a matter of fact.
Well, there's a history here too.
It's like,
and Dumba's supposed to come back for that one.
It's like Kadri. It's like you're like, okay, yeah, no. He's doing good. Dad is going to pick you up this weekend. He'll be there. And then you see him sitting on the curb. I'm telling you, Tkachuk is going to blow. It's happening. I don't know when, but it's happening. He's been so well behaved. Maybe it'll be in the playoffs. It might not be the Wild, but 2 games back to back. Dumba, Hartman, Moose, 2 good teams trying to show each other that they're good.
Both in the West.
I know. I think we're going to get some Cowboy hockey.
Well, I like the way you've set it up. Anything else or?
No, you had a really good podcast today. I thought I had you on the ropes on that KFAN statement, but your point that everybody says winning is important, but it's the people who actually open up the hood and decide what you need to have happening that actually do win. So you can't be a hypocrite, even if Drew has a red beard too, though.
But he's a winner. So it will, in time, it will, like, red again, you don't need him game 60, you need him game 001 of the playoffs. Right.
I don't know about red beards.
Thank you for your support. I don't know if it's genuine. If you believe me and you support me in my beliefs.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Good luck against the KFAN masses or whoever's coming for you with burning sticks.
We'll get them.
You're okay with me.
All right. Well, we're here
till it's here.